Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Srinath, and we're going to take this to the political face-off. We've decided to keep everybody away and just keep it to pure play politicians. Sushmita Dev, MP of the Congress Party, also Chief of the Mahila Congress, joins us right here, and Aman Sinha represents the BJP. So thank you both of you for being with us. And let me first begin with what happened at the courts today. And just for the benefit of our viewers, I'm going to quickly recount because the courts did not reinstate Alok Verma. They said this will be a time-bound probe. Initial probe has to be given by the 12th of November. They've also said the probe will be supervised by a retired Supreme Court judge, Justice A.K. Patnaik, and Nageshwar Rao is not going to have any major policy-making powers at all. But both sides seem to be claiming political victory on this. So let me just begin with both of you to answer that moot question. Aman Sinha, I know he may have not been reinstated, but there is plenty that has happened which raises questions as to why the Supreme Court feels there is a need to do all of this. How are you claiming moral victory?
Now, clearly his foremost prayer was to quash the CBC order or either to stay it. The court has refused to interfere in the CBC order and declined both those requests. Now, that apart, the CBC was already in process of inquiring into the allegations and counter allegations which were there. The Supreme Court has predominantly affirmed the stand of CBC, whereby they have stated that CBC should inquire and submit a report within a period of 2 weeks. And further, the Supreme Court has noted that since the officiating director has been appointed as an interim measure, this is what CBC order also stipulated, and therefore he would not take major policy decisions. And that was the spirit and intent of the CBC order earlier also. That in a way also affirms the stand of CBC. And they have appointed a judge of the Supreme Court, which is a welcome move, because later on the Congress party, which sees demons in everything and accuses each and every constitutional authority and agency of impropriety, it's good that a retired Supreme Court judge is there to supervise, so that Congress or other parties could not again try to draw political mileage out of it. So the fact of the matter is that essentially the stand of CBC has been upheld and affirmed by the Supreme Court.
Aman Sinha, you are obviously selectively reading this for your benefit. You are selectively reading this to ensure that this shows the government and the CBC in good light. The reality is that the Supreme Court wants this probe to be monitored by Justice A.K. Patnaik, who's a retired judge of the Supreme Court. They are not relying on CBC, which means that the courts don't think this is going to be fair. They've actually explained why at this time in our country this is required, this is an exception that they are making. In any case, I understand why you looking into this selectively. Sushmita Dev, while the courts may have done all of this, the courts seem to agree with the government and the CBC on one count, that these are extraordinary circumstances. The CBI director can be forced to go on leave, and which is why he hasn't been reinstated. So what is the Congress claiming moral victory on?
I don't think the Supreme Court has given any opinion on whether to force him to go on leave is proper or improper. Yes, they haven't interfered with that decision, but there is ample law, there's ample precedent, and it's unequivocally stated that there is absolutely no way a CBI director can be forced to go on leave, which amounts to de facto removal. The law is clear and everybody knows it. And Dr. Manu Singhvi's press meet, which he did day before, he clearly states that the tenure of a CBI director is 2 years. And generally a person retires at 62 or 65. The CBI director, even if he reaches his retirement age and has not completed 2 years, is allowed to continue. And there's a reason behind this law. The reason is there should not be any misuse of power to remove a director who's investigating something. So therefore, let us not jump the gun and say that the Supreme Court has upheld the decision of the government to force someone to go to leave, because there are a lot of other surrounding circumstances which raise a lot of suspicion, like the Intelligence Bureau people snooping around his house. It is unheard of. An order coming about at 2 a.m. in the morning. The kind of allegations and counter allegations that have been thrown at each other by two officers, and in particular the huge, or I think the suspicious history of one of the officers to Gujarat. So if you look at the circumstances and if you think that this is above suspicion, I beg to disagree with that.
No, I understand what you're saying here, and Aman Sinha, I want you to not just answer some of the points that Ms. Dev has raised, but I also want to ask you a simple thing. This battle within the CBI, this war within the CBI was brewing for a long time. Why was it not nipped in the bud? This crisis was made to assume a larger role by letting it fester. And the second question is, I understand that, and please don't tell me you're a 24/7 government, because that's an argument that non-lawyers can make. Lawyers like yourself should be giving me facts. What was the need to do this at 2 a.m. in the morning? And will the government at this point in time, in hindsight, is it a decision that you could have avoided? Because this is giving a lot of political fodder to the other side. It raises suspicions. Why could you not wait till 8 in the morning? What would have changed in those 6 hours?
Supriya, first of all, let me respond to your previous question, which you asked in the previous round, but I couldn't get the opportunity to respond. Now, the appointment of a Supreme Court judge in no way casts aspersions on any constitutional authority, which includes CBC, and this is not what I am saying. If you go back and read the last para of the order which has come out today, you will see that it is clearly and unequivocally recorded there. Now, that apart, every institution in this in our constitutional scheme has different roles and functions, which is stipulated, very well laid down, whether in the constitution or in the statute. As far as the appointment of CBI Director is concerned, the government appoints the CBI Director under Section 4(2) of the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act on recommendations of a special committee. However, it is the general superintendence and direction under which CBI works is of CBC, and therefore once the CBC opined that this is an extraordinary situation which has arisen. No, please allow me to complete now, otherwise I'll have to answer your question in the next round yet again. Now, therefore, once the CBC came out with a advice, with a order that in view of the unprecedented situation which has emerged in CBI, the government needs to act in this measure, and in order to preserve the institutional integrity and credibility of CBI, these are the interim measures which are required to be taken. The government immediately moved and implemented the advice which was put forward by the CBC, and which we were duty bound to do so.
Okay. Aman Sinha, I'm going to really move on to what the Congress party did today, and that was taking to the streets. And then I will come back and ask you the conspicuous silence of some people in your government. Sushmita Dev, I understand what you're trying to do. You are obviously trying to muddy the waters here. As an opposition party, I don't think the BJP would have done anything otherwise. That's exactly what an opposition party is expected to do. But for a party that has in the past said that you will go by what the courts have to order and you will go by the court dharma, why are you now taking to the streets? Is this a reflection of the fact that this is merely a big political opportunity that you want to cash in on?
See, Supriya, I can tell you something. It's not the first time that the Congress party is accusing Narendra Modi's government, and rightly so, about interfering with institutions. Is the Prime Minister entitled to even meet the CBI Director when they are investigating or thinking of filing an FIR in Rafale? There are many questions. Today, whether you like it or not, the law is very clear. The law is very clear that you cannot take a decision about the CBI Director unless it is the select committee which recommends to the government what to do. Yet, in the middle of the night or wee hours of the morning, it is done. There is a clear modus operandi here, which is the Rafale case. We have been consistently stating facts about Rafale, and the government has consistently denied it. And one after the other, we have been proved right. And you will see that what we are saying about the actual modus operandi of this government in removing the CBI Director the way they have will come out. And the grand plan of Narendra Modi ji is to make sure that Rafale FIR never sees the day of the light. That's the real modus operandi. And as an opposition in a democracy, we cannot stand by and watch every institution being destroyed. Today we may not be in power, BJP is in power, you know, who is in power does not matter, because India as a country is where it is because we have institutions, we have strong institutions, whether it's the RBI, whether it is any other institution, but each one is being meddled into by the Narendra Modi and Amit Shah duo. And let me tell you, we are clearly reflecting the mood of the nation, and is not some political, you know, strategy, or you can't relegate it to just some political strategy like you suggested. There's much more going on here. I can tell you from my experience, a lot of people were saying that what's going on. Please go out there and interview people about what they think has happened with the CBI over the last couple of days. People are losing faith. People are losing faith, and we can't be silent bystanders while Prime Minister just systematically goes about destroying every institution.
Okay. On hindsight, I should have actually touched upon Rafale a while back. I did not, and I think I should go to it now. Aman Sinha, while, you know, the opposition is obviously hurling charges and accusing of a big cover-up as far as the Rafale is concerned, and alleging, and not just them, but Arun Shourie and Yashwant Sinha and all those people who were once a part of the BJP are now alleging that this was a grand cover-up because apparently Mr. Alok Verma was going to act on the Rafale complaint and the plea that he had received. By doing this at a midnight hour, by doing this in such a hush-hush way, has the government just given more fodder to the opposition? Has the government just, you know, why can the government not come clean on this? I know it is being, this is a political issue, and I know accusations are going to be hurled at each other, but this is a very serious, grave charge that is being raised, that he was ousted hours before he could act on the Rafale complaint, and that would have taken the entire matter to the doorstep of the Prime Minister himself.
Well, Supriya, I was hearing the Congress spokesperson, and it's quite ironical and hypocritical that party which imposed emergency in this country gives a preaching and lecture about institutional autonomy and integrity and credibility of institutions. It was the same Congress party during whose tenure the Supreme Court had to observe that CBI is a caged parrot. It is the same Congress party where the Minister of Personnel, the department which looks after CBI, was caught red-handed changing the status report, and therefore Supreme Court had to ask him to resign. So I am not going into the preaching which is being given to people of India in general by the Congress party. They should first introspect. Now, as far as your question is concerned on Rafale, Mr. Rahul Gandhi would do well to disclose, you know, did Mr. Alok Verma, before you know, starting any inquiry or investigation in any matter, did he seek his opinion or did he inform him? What is he talking about? Is he privy to whatever CBI director may be thinking? What is he should come and disclose this before a court of law. And as far as you know, my friend was referring to the recommendation committee, that he couldn't have been sent on leave without consulting the recommendation committee, and she stated 3 times that law is very clear. Will she kindly enlighten the public of this country, which is the provision of law which says that the CBI director cannot be sent on leave without taking consent of the committee, special committee which is constituted under 4B, which is the judgment which stipulates. So there is nothing of that sort. She is just trying to misquote and mislead. In fact, if there was any illegality, infirmity in that order, then the Supreme Court, first thing it would have done today is that they would have struck down the order because it was illegal. And therefore, whatever my friend from the Congress party is saying is completely devoid of law and facts. I do not even wish to go into what Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been saying and doing. It has been completely, you know, what he says is completely, it's, you know, amusing, it's childish what the way he has been conducting himself. It's extremely irresponsible that somebody who claims to be leader of opposition of the country conducts himself in this manner.
I wonder what would you have done had you been in the opposition today? You would have done exactly the same, and which is why I think politicians on both sides of the political spectrum needs to know what they would have done. Depends on which, where you sit is where you stand, like they say in politics. But Sushmita Dev, one of the questions is, while the Congress party is going hammer and tongs on Rafale, and you did have the TMC and I think D. Raja join in today at the CBI headquarters to protest in consonance with you. What about the rest of the opposition? We are not seeing a resurgence of sorts. The entire opposition is not speaking in the... And Sharad Yadav. The entire opposition doesn't seem to be speaking in the same voice. Every now and then we hear that Sharad Pawar has said this is not a scam. Then, of course, he goes back on that statement. What's really happening there? Why can't the opposition come together on a matter like this if it has so much of potency?
Well, the session is round the corner, and you'll see that who's standing with us or standing with us on this issue. That will become very clear. Mr. Sharad Pawar was quoted having said something, he went back on it. But irrespective of who's with us and who's not with us, the issue is there are some very stark questions being asked about Rafale, which neither Prime Minister Modi or the very well-known lawyers on his team of cabinet have been able to answer. Whether it comes to the fact that Nirmala Sitharamanji in Lok Sabha says that the price of the plane is confidential information and national secret, and it is openly written in the Reliance company's balance sheets. It is declared by Dassault. So they have actually cast this web of lies around Rafale, and they are all getting caught in it. Nirmala Sitharaman says, I know nothing about the contract with Anil Ambani, and then goes and attends the foundation stone laying function in Maharashtra, in which Nitin Gadkari goes. So see, Narendra Modi's government and his team of ministers there are only two reasons they're behaving the way they are. They are simply too arrogant. And the second thing is, it is high time people who defend Narendra Modi ji on television or off television start behaving that Prime Minister Modi is above the law of the country, he's above the constitution of the country, and so did this and so did that. Narendra Modi is the Prime Minister of the country, but he is not God. He is not God. And that has become more than apparent that he shot himself in the foot when it comes to Rafale.
Okay. Sushmita Dev, please indulge me for a minute. And Aman Sinha, I have two questions, and I request both of you to just keep it brief, because there is, and please answer my direct question, Aman. I don't have time on the show. I will have to wrap this up. The question is, many people believe that while you're running the government, has the BJP erred in underestimating the Congress? Are you constantly underestimating Rahul Gandhi? And is that a prudent political strategy to have? Because in politics you say you should be paranoid about your opponent. You seem to be constantly underestimating and undermining him, and in many ways, if I may also ask you a question, 2018 seems like 2013. There was firefighting that the UPA 2 was doing all the time. It seems that the BJP government has had to firefight on every count, and I can go on issue after issue.
Supriya, we are not undermining the Congress party. It is the people of this country who are undermining the Congress party because of their deeds and of their conduct. In 2014, when we came to power, we were in 5 states. Today, we are in 21, 22 states. The Congress party, in all respects, is at all-time low. BJP, today, in all respects, is at its all-time high. That is because people of this country are reposing faith in BJP, in leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in policies of this government. And we do not need a certificate from Congress party because we know of their pathological hatred against the BJP. But the fact of the matter is that since my learned friend did not address one issue pertaining, she was speaking about Rafale all the time. I do not know what their protest today was about. And clearly they are trying to run away from the issue. They have nothing in substance, Supriya. Therefore, they are going to CBI headquarters and protesting what not, the God knows. They have nothing to say on substantive issues. Therefore, the Congress party is repeatedly being rejected, and that is what the electoral evidence also reflects, and the results are speaking for themselves.
Okay, a very quick last word, and that will go to the lady because I am biased. You can accuse me of that. But Sushmita Dev, a quick last word to you. And, you know, whatever a politician does with an eye on elections and eye on votes. How confident are you that issues like Rafale or the CBI mess or the war within India's premier investigative agency are going to turn into electoral issues? Are these issues that will resonate on the ground when you go to elections in Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh or Rajasthan?
Definitely. Please believe me, with the Nirav Modis and Choksis and Vijay Malias running off after informing Mr. Jaitley, and then Mr. Jaitley's daughter taking a payment of 24 lakhs from Choksi's company, his end has begun. See, it is absolutely blasphemous in a democracy to think that you are going to be there forever. And that is the disease or syndrome that the BJP is suffering. That is the syndrome BJP is suffering from. Mr. Jaitley is totally disconnected, sitting in his 100 crore office that they recently built about what the people of India are saying, the questions they are asking. And let me tell you, arrogance is something that will bring the Modi government down. He is just too arrogant. He doesn't know what the common people are saying after demonetization. He doesn't know what the farmers are saying who have killed themselves. And he doesn't know what all the jobless youth are saying about him. He just goes on a one-way dialogue in election rallies. His entire tenure has been about one-way dialogues.
Does she even know what was the suicide rate?
Sushmita Dev and Aman Sinha. Okay. Sushmita Dev and
You
Aman Sinha, I'm sorry, I'll have to come in there. There was a
to
reason why I decided. Okay, Sushmita Dev and Aman Sinha, thank you very, very much for being with us on this edition of the India Development Debate. We decided to keep everybody out of this discussion and keep it as a direct face-off between the two politicians. Because what really matters on this story is what the ruling benches and the principal opposition are saying. CBI mess or the Rafale issue or everything else that comes in between is nothing but fodder for politics. Politics from the ruling benches and also politics for the opposition. This is an issue that refuses to die out of headline, and my own sense is, after covering politics for all these years, this is going to be an issue that will be dragged on by both sides to suit their interests. Thank you very much for being with us in this edition of the India Development Debate. We take a quick breather on that note and we come back with yet another fascinating discussion. If you thought the institution authority of CBI was under question, it looks like the RBI and government are on the warpath. Deputy Governor Veera Lacharya today says central bank is not a department of executive function of the government. More on that in a moment from now.